Hello, all the friends of Cosmic Agency. First of all, I want to say thank you to all of you for your great, wonderful comments and a warm reception to my last personal video that I published. That video lasted 1 hour and a half, 1 hour and 11 minutes, and I wasn't sure how it was going to be received, but I felt that I wanted to share this, how it started, how it affects me, all the emotional involvement that goes into this whole experience. So I just want to say thank you very much for receiving it so well and for leaving all your nice comments. And talking about the emotions and how important they are and how important they are to be felt and to be expressed, I will share with you today the video where Yazhi Swaruu is talking about the importance of the emotions. I'm going to leave you with this video, with this exposition from her side, and then we also have a little conversation in the second part with Robert about that topic. And I will meet you at the end, because sometimes I just feel like throwing in some comments from myself. So see you at the end of the video and enjoy it. Until now.
Emotions. What are they? Leaving aside bodily reactions and psychological triggers and hormones and all that, everything that has a soul has emotions, because it is what characterizes that as soul, even if one wants to suppress them in favor of logic. But it doesn't have to be one thing or the other. When you are the whole, when you are at the source, you are aligned with the whole, and as everything is at the same time, simultaneously, you do not really need emotions. So what are they? They come out or express themselves from lower densities with more strength, at least apparently. When you are at the source, you are aligned with the whole. And when you are or have the illusion of being someone else, someone, a person in a low density, in all, but it is expressed more clearly in low densities, you create 2 points of attention: the source, the whole, and the person, with an illusion of separation. You can never be separated, because you are one and the same person as the original source. One does not go to the source after dying. Only the illusion of separation is over. So you have the source, the whole, person, 2 points of attention. This in the perception of a soul person. A positive emotion of love, integration, happiness is an indicator that the person is integrating that which causes that emotion. Integrating as in love, movement towards the source, reunification with the source, the dissolution of the illusion of separation. That's why it is a positive feeling, high frequency, because it moves or makes the soul person feel like integrating with the source. But if you have a negative emotion, the opposite happens. You feel a separation from the source. That's why it hurts to leave behind a relationship or feel a rejection, because you want that something that symbolizes more of the source for that soul, for your soul. But that which you love so much rejects you. And it is as if the source itself rejects you, creating a strong emotion of disintegration, deunification, and alienation with the source. This as a stronger example, the rejection of a partner, followed perhaps with the rejection of a son or daughter, I suppose. It is a matter of values, I only generalize. But in itself, everything is either separation from the source or integration with the source, with degrees stronger or less strong than others, depending on the scale of values of the person. So, losing a small coin with almost no value is annoying, separation from the source, but it is not much. It means nothing or little for a person, so it is quickly overcome, but the feeling of separation is present. This using examples of physical things, of separation, people or objects. But it can also be transferred to ideas. An idea can be good or bad, separate or integrate, and can cause a feeling of integration, feeling of joy, or feeling of estrangement, separation or sadness. I do not want to go into describing each emotion because it is not necessary, and the interpretation varies from person to person. But I do want to mention that anger and irritation is caused by the idea or the concept of impotence, of not being able to modify or alter the course of what happens and what you don't want to happen. So, with the description above, I can say, and it will be easily understood, that a positive emotion is a guide or compass towards what we should do, what is correct. So if we don't like something, it's wrong, and if we like something, it's right. This, from a higher existential plane or higher density point of view, is quite correct. But this is not necessarily the case from a low plane, such as 3D or 5D. And it is very dangerous to take it that way without knowing what is behind. The problem is that there is no objective reality apart from each person's consciousness. There are no universal values even within a single plane, like 3D or 5D alike. What is reality? It is a personal interpretation based on previous experiences, on perceptions that differ from person to person. So reality is not something objective and fixed, but varies with personal interpretation. So if we enter a soup of shared awarenesses of personal realities particular to each person's soul that at first sight are similar but never the same, things of reality is not predictable, nor is what is good or bad. But it becomes a reflection because it is subject to the influence and perception of the whole society and the influence it has on the individual. In other words, an individual may have a strong rejection to something that in the end may be good for him, or he may desire something that is very harmful to him. An example of this is wanting a particular partner that both parents and friends insist not to be a good idea and only to bring problems, or a drug addict wanting his daily dose. Although it is induced by a chemical dependency, even the relief of having the dose or being able to take subsequent doses of it causes a feeling of happiness in the person. Countless examples. So, knowing that a positive emotion is a guide towards integration and a negative towards what we do not want, we must always keep in mind that it depends on the lens or the point of view with which we look at the problem, thing, or situation that provokes it. So, something negative, if we start to observe it, becomes something positive by changing our perception about it, and with this, our interpretation. And this leads to a change in the emotional reaction we have towards that. It is here where we can understand that we can apply logic to analyze emotional situations. Every time we have a negative emotional reaction, it can also be positive. We can stop to wonder why exactly we feel bad about that particular situation. So we can put to use our logical mind in the situation, not discrediting the emotion, but understanding it, knowing that this emotion is only caused by the concepts that we have associated with it, our interpretation of reality. There is nothing either good or bad. Thinking makes it so. William Shakespeare, Hamlet. Asks Robert. Thanks, Yazhi. The Andromedans, having no emotions, would be below you who have emotions? Every being with soul has emotions, even the Andromedans and other races. Just that in comparison with an emotional race, they have less range of emotions. That is, they have some emotions, but others not, or are minimized. In itself, just by living in 3D in that density, there is a lot of separation from the original source, which naturally triggers the fact that humans are a highly emotional race. However, the Taygetans are, or it can be argued that are closer to the source, and still have an emotional range just like that of humans. Some even maintain that they have more than humans. This is because in 5D there are still serious problems. But if you live comfortably on the planet in peace, you tend not to have as many emotions as fear and despair, because nothing triggers them. But it's not that they are not there. But Taygetans, yes, they face serious problems, so when that happens, the emotion is triggered and very strongly, because they are not used to having to react with extreme sadness, anger, despair, and fear. This may explain why they have perhaps even stronger emotions than humans. I have the following question. You said that positive emotion is the indication that you are on the right track, etc., but also that sometimes that depends on our interpretation or perception of something. By changing the interpretation, the emotion changes. So in this case, it seems that emotions are a result of our perception, not that they always indicate that we are on the right track or not. Because by changing the interpretation of this or that situation, the emotions, would change. So how do you know if emotion is really the compass? Or maybe there is something in our interpretation that needs adjusting. Emotional control automatically goes hand in hand with the ascension of a person, with progress towards higher densities. And as I have explained in detail before, a density is being able to understand a greater amount of data, process it. Not having more data like a pen drive or a hard disk would, but what a soul does with that data, with that knowledge, integrating them into your being. So, with more data, more understanding, more awareness, and with that, the perception and interpretation of events that trigger an emotional reaction automatically changes. In other words, the higher your existential perception and density, the more explanations you will have for the why of things. And with this, it will change your reactions, because they carry or represent a different value for you now. You can see it in me as an example. What bothered me as Swaruu before does not affect me. The higher your density, the more things you can perceive and understand. You apply them to yourself. You integrate them to you. That is why it is more integration, more love, closer to the original source. but you also understand the negative in the same way, and it doesn't cause reactions like anger. Anger, as an example, is a reaction to helplessness or inability to resolve things, which triggers the emotions. So, you automatically absorb what was previously negative, both for you and for your community. You transmute it, you dissolve it, you grow above the negative. You integrate it, you have no resistance to it. It is only used as another tool to understand reality, to have a contrast, for example. So, you must mentalize emotions, and to mentalize and understand them, what do you need? More data. Integrate and understand more things. And this leads to a higher density where you dissolve negative emotions just because you no longer need them. But it is not that they are not there. You dominate them, but they are not repressed. You should never, ever suppress emotions, but face them without resistance to them. And those negative emotions will dissolve alone. To understand why they get triggered is to dissolve them. The same with the positive ones, as you said above, not because something feels good, it necessarily is. But still, the emotion itself is the desire of your soul to achieve unity with the Source through integration. So yes, it is a compass towards the Source. But in that direction, you have to see what's on that way. Not because the compass indicates where you have to go, does it mean that you must walk in a straight line in that direction. You have to see what is on your way in that direction. Things that you do not want or suit you. The compass shows you the right direction, your positive emotions. But sometimes, when walking in that direction, you must be careful of precipices, walls, swamps that you must go around to be able to follow what your emotion indicates. Thanks, I get it. And yes, that's what I mean, what you said above, that by expanding, you integrate some negative emotions and they no longer affect you. But in this case, you lose the compass a little, right? Because your emotions don't tell you much anymore. I mean, you may be in a negative situation for yourself, but you don't feel anything negative about it anymore. In this case, how are you going to know what negative path really is for you? As long as you are alive in whatever density it is, you will feel positive or negative emotions. Even though it is relative, let's say that you will feel joy and love, or you will feel sadness and fear in one or another intensity. Or you just won't react like before, but you will feel something, because that characterizes souls who have a feeling of apparent separation from the Source. Logic is not necessarily the right path. It all turns cold, senseless. So the Federation could be operating from a logical point of what is convenient or not, without taking into account what the feelings and emotions of humans indicate, the ones who have to live the process. They do not use or do not understand how other races use emotions, because they themselves operate from a rational, logical point of view. They lose the compass and become a sterile society without purpose. So it's not just about emotion as something empty, without meaning, and demonized by many. This is just ignorance about what the emotions are. They want to suppress them, the emotions, because they give problems according to them. But they give problems to who? Emotions do not give problems. They are only indicators. And the solution to emotions, especially those that someone doesn't want, is more understanding, more information, more awareness. If someone feels sad, for example, what I suggest is that they accept that they feel sad for whatever reason. Most of the time, if not all, accepting that, giving yourself space to feel that sadness and not fight it, will transmute it, because what you resist persists. Do not resist it. Accept it as part of yourself, and it will transmute itself. Everyone is programmed to feel that they should always be happy, that it is wrong to have a negative emotion, that it is wrong to feel sad. There are even drugs for depression. But it is not wrong to feel how one feels. You have to sit down to accept it, to analyze what is happening. We are all scalar beings. That is precisely what defines us. From the old saying that people are spiritual beings having a physical experience, always looking up at mental planes from below. Up and down, again relative, and it is only to describe my point with limited words. Even religious people, I respect them. They have no other choice. They are just looking for answers. What am I? What am I doing here? Connecting with the divine. They seek that, the connection with the divine. Divine, another word to name the original source, or what brings you closer to the original source, to integration. They pray to their Jesus, to their little virgin, to their little saint, to their Allah. They only want integration, love, acceptance, peace. And all of that is true for them. Their truth, their creation. We are no one to say that they are wrong, because it would only be from another point of view. And if meanwhile they attack or discredit those who are not like them, well, then they will have to understand with hard teachings and experiences that only they can have for themselves, that this is not the way that is convenient for them. Anything goes, yes. Everything is part of the experience and learning, yes. But what is true is that, although everything goes, not everything is convenient for you. And why is it not so? Because you have emotions, because you are a soul. And what you are looking for is integration, love. And not everything that is worth doing for the experience of it causes you the feeling you want. You cannot be a non-emotional being without having a separation from the source, no matter how logical you are. That component will always be missing. Logic helps you get closer to the source, using it to discard what is not convenient. But you will only get to a certain level before encountering a big impasse, making source and integration unattainable without that missing component that only emotions give you, and its primary engine, love. And this is precisely what happens to positive but excessively logical races, such as the Andromedan and the Arcturian. They have reached that impasse which makes it impossible for them to understand humans. And what causes that impasse? They are only trying to guide from logic. They cannot understand because for thousands of generations, the emotional has been suppressed in favor of the logical. And they don't understand why humans make irrational decisions. And it is only because their framework of proceeding obeys other rules, not logic. For example, having to sell one of the two things, and even though it is logical to sell one and not the other, a human chooses to sell what is not convenient to him, just because he has an emotional attachment to the other. Andromedans, are a very incorrect race to be mentors to humanity. This task corresponds to other ones more adapted for this work, such as Taygetan, Engan, or Solation.
Thank you very much for watching until this point. And apart from what Yazhi Swaruu already expressed in this video, and of course a lot more could be added, she even herself said that the topic is huge. Like any topic that she's going into, it could go on forever and forever. But apart from what she said, I just would like to add that from my perspective, what emotions do to me, among other things, of course, they trigger certain insights in me. So that's one of the reasons why I feel they are very important. And what do I want to say? Triggers of the insights. Many times I am struck with a certain emotion that I do not understand. It could be a nostalgic feeling or some kind of a deep anxious feeling or sadness. And when I stop and I go into that feeling, when I analyze that emotion, when I actually contemplate, I allow myself space to go into that emotion, then I feel it operates as some kind of a portal to higher insight, the higher insight that is somewhere behind that emotion. And when I really deeply concentrate on that feeling, on that emotion, it's almost never just pure emotion, but it actually comes with some revelations. It comes with some discoveries, with some observations. Like it's leading. The emotion is a force that leads me to discover something from beyond the ordinary perception. So for me, they are activators. They are triggers of higher ideas. They are like the link with the higher ideas. They are frequency. They themselves, for me, they represent a certain frequency. So when you attach to that frequency, when you go and focus and follow that frequency, you become one with it, then that frequency will take you somewhere and will show you something. So in that way, I can communicate with the higher parts of myself through that emotion. They are like link between those higher realms of myself. And I can feel this when listening to some emotional elevating music, for example. It just like triggers something and I go, somewhere far away and it acts as a gate to some kind of a higher realization, higher observation. And then when that feeling, that emotion is fully present, I can formulate expressed ideas out of that. Because the emotion itself is just a force, it's just a feeling, it has no words. But once I truly focus on it and become one with it, merge with it, then I can formulate more specific concepts and ideas out of it. So through that emotion, I feel that's how ideas travel. That's how they travel from those higher realms, higher inner secret realms within yourself. I mean, that's how it is for me. I am pretty sure that for all of you, the emotions will mean so many different things. But as you can see, they are important, and for every one of us, they will mean and signify something profoundly different. So I just want to say to all the Federation races that have no further idea about how impactful the emotions can be for humans. I mean, we are you, right? The Federation members here, the secret spies, the secret agents working from within, then just by logic, right? By logic, you have to listen to us being here from within, telling you all this, explaining you all this, explaining how it is, how important it is to have this richness of emotions and why it is not really convenient to be exposing so much emotional baggage of experiences difficult experiences on humans. Yes, because the emotional damage that some of these hard experiences can cause become emotional baggage, and that for you is kind of like karma, you might say. And I know many of you, all those races, are very interested in abiding by these karmic laws. Karma here, in the sense, I mean weight, something still to resolve. All the emotional baggage causes unresolved issues that we will carry throughout the incarnations, and we will carry them when we go back to 5D. So in a way, we will bring those issues there with us to the 5D. So they are not going to just stay here, I feel, purely in 3D. Once we get out, somewhere in the subconscious, they will remain, and that's why it is very, very important to be doing what you are doing with full responsibility of what you're doing. Okay, so just take all this into the account. Yes, we came here, starseeds, from above as door openers and door reminders, exit door reminders for all the humans. But once we are here, once we got inside, we are actually realizing how hard the grip of those hard experiences is on people. And we are telling you, loosen up the grip, and you have to listen to us because we are you. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Focus on your emotions, deal with your emotions, accept your emotions, feel and live and enjoy and experience your emotions. Until the next time, and thank you very much for watching.